Awesome. So we're going to talk about the digital transformation and what that means for MSPs. I think it's an incredible moment for us right now, and I feel very honored to be part of this digital transformation that's happening. So some of the things we're going to cover today is why MSPs are on high demand, and that's a super interesting conversation that we're having. I want you to lead today with this understanding that we MSPs are driving this digital transformation, and how we're doing that. It's incredible to me, and why data, right, is the new gold. How the digital transformation can help you increase your MRR and finding highly qualified leads, verified leads without the need to manually scrub them. And we'll put on some Q&A, see if any of the attendees wants to share with us some questions, and we'll get started. So again, I am the CEO of Motiva, a New York-based MSP. So I am one of you guys. I have been doing this for, I want to say now, almost 25 years. And so I've seen the transition of a lot of different things with our industry, and I'm just super happy to be part of it. So MSP is the new sexy industry, right? How many of you are getting phone calls right now to get acquired, to get purchased, right? Raise your hands. Let me see how many hands. I see. Excellent. So the idea behind this whole thing that I wanted to drive is that investors are looking for us, right? And I'm sure you've seen the transition. COVID-19 actually has accelerated this digital transformation. And post COVID-19, by the way, those conversations that may have been at some point difficult to have with our prospects became just easier conversations, right? If you went to somebody and you talked about remote workers before, now you have the opportunity to have better conversations. So this is the new era. And how are those prospects looking to transform their businesses? It's is the other question that I have. And because, you know, in the past, it was harder to reach into people who are maybe comfortable with their IT provider, but now they may have experienced some issues during COVID-19. They realized that maybe weren't as secure as they were, or maybe they weren't as ready to work remotely. Maybe they're more open to have a conversation about cloud computing. So it's all of those things. So MSPs are the drivers of the digital transformation. We are the ones consulting on these new technologies, as well as also talking about, cybersecurity, systems in place, cloud computing, et cetera. And our industry is on track to double within the next 5 years, right? And so there's more demand for us. There's a lot of MSPs being created as we speak. Prospects are looking to transform their businesses digitally. So this is a tremendous opportunity for everybody. And who can remember the old encyclopedias, right? We want to talk about turning data into actual assets. And here's an example how here's an example as how you can turn data into an asset. Who can remember the Britannica Encyclopedia, right? That people had these huge books at their homes, and then Microsoft in the 90s came out with this CD-ROM called Encarta, and basically took Britannica Encyclopedia out of business. And this is how data assets have been changing now. Wikipedia, who will even think about not just Googling this stuff? So the transformation of the digital process is what we're living right now. And what are those next generation things that we should be looking at so that there are prospects that are looking for us can find us easier? And so this is just an example of how digital assets transform. And then customers, right? How many of you guys on this webinar have difficulty getting new customers, right? And so, oh, excuse me one second. Okay, so how many of us have difficulties getting new customers, right? And so The digital transformation allows for people to be marketed and persuaded differently, right? The buyer today, it's a smarter consumer. They're going to do more research on you. They're going to do a lot more work on you. And so they're going to look for things that makes them be drawn to you. And so for that reason, the more information you have on those prospects, the better. And the data that you have on them, the better, right? So customers are connecting with and influencing each other, by the way. Think about like how people share information. I go to Reddit sometimes just to kind of look at the MSP pages and stuff, and I see tons of stuff being shared on there. So people share things differently today. Information about, how they're being served, how is this company versus the other. So all of these things are being shared among each other. So, and the use of digital tools, how they discover us, how they evaluate us, how do they purchase? I had a customer recently that signed up with us. They said, look, at the end of the day, the reason why we picked you guys is because you had your iPad out, and every time I asked you to change the proposal, you just changed it on the spot, and you made me sign electronically and literally took my money right on the spot. I want to do that, they told me. And so teach us how to do that. That's why we picked you. So how they purchase, how they evaluate you, it's a big deal. And like I said, the new customer in the digital era, I just don't get it. We're still looking for customers like we did back in the 90s. We're still downloading list of leads. We're still doing things that we did before. It's still the same outbound calls, old school call. We're still trying to push in products and services down people's throats. So it's just not the 90s anymore, right? So there's been a transformation in this. There's so many industries that have taken advantage of this, except MSPs. And so it's not a great thing, right? That we haven't adapted to that. And if we are that new sexy industry, why not use technology to augment our data, right? The new gold. And mainly because we're still using the same shooting from the hip approach, right? And what I mean by that is we talk to anybody in the organization, but that's not right, because we're looking for that person who's going to make the decision, right? So we waste money in people that will never convert, industries that we pick that may never convert, or the wrong people. Old data, right? Sometimes we have the wrong phone numbers, wrong email, because the data is so old. If you're downloading it from a data source, or buying lists, some of these list providers, they haven't updated that data in 40 years. I cleaned almost 20,000 records last year, and out of those records, only 40% were good. Only 10% of them had emails. But we're still doing it like this, right? So not all information is available. So you can't canvas on LinkedIn because you just don't have the LinkedIn information, right? So there's a lot of stuff we're just not doing as MSPs proactively. And can you imagine if you had the capabilities to unlock your sales team's potential, right? How can you lead your team to success? And if you're a single practitioner like us, how can you lead your own self to success, right? So the first thing that I want you to take away from today that's been coming up a lot in my head is segment your industry. Pick a lane, right? A lot of MSPs, we try to be the Swiss Army for everything. We try to be the best for this, best for that. Pick a lane, pick an industry, become the best at it. Learn their tools, join their associations, speak to their business groups, go on those chats, participate, right? Become the go-to service provider for that industry, right? Because your ideal customer profile, or AKA ICP, should be at the forefront on how you look for those leads. Identify your buyer persona. I can tell you that I dream about my buyer persona. Every night I think about who is the right person to talk to, what do they look like, what do they smell like, how do they get dressed, right? And so if you can't target the right person, you can't make that sale, because you'll be just, trying to hit the wrong target. So Warren Buffett said he always knew he was going to be rich. Never doubted it. So you should do the same thing. Don't doubt your process. Pick the industry you want to go after and determine who is your target demographic, who is that buyer persona, and you'll be more successful, right? But again, like I said, we continue to clean leads and create leads in this way, the same way we did before in 2021, right? And here's something that I want to introduce you to called Binox MSP. So our tool is designed to generate up to 95% accurate human verified leads, right? And we also have machine verified, which are 75% accurate. But the human verified means that somebody has actually scrubbed this lead, right? And because of that, it's highly accurate. It's gonna always have emails. It's gonna always have direct dials. In many cases, actually, we'll have things like mobile numbers. A lot of them have mobile numbers, which, 2021, we got to start thinking about text messaging our prospects, right? Because we have to start changing the way we think about marketing in general. And if the consumer, the way to approach business has changed, the way to market has changed. So just adhering to those changes. So human verified, 95% accurate, scrubbed by somebody manually. The greatest thing about our tool is that when you source that lead, you have picked your industry, you have picked the type of person you want to talk to, and you select that lead in your territory. By the way, inside of our app, you can look by territories, zip codes, you can look by anything you want. Employee size, industry type, SIC codes, you name it. But once you find that lead, right, our tight integrations with all the tools MSP use, it's really the biggest thing for us. So as you can see here on the screenshot, I'm showing you that we can send directly to CRM or PSA. So if you're using ConnectWise, we happen to be a ConnectWise partner, but if you're using AutoTask, Kaseya, Synchro, all of them, not a problem. And if you don't have a CRM and you're using your PSA as a CRM-like tool, you're welcome. We can do the same thing, right? So let me demonstrate that in a second. So our tight integrations allows us to go from sourcing to marketing within 2 minutes. I actually timed this, by the way. So it was like 2 minutes and 12 seconds. So, but how many leads do we need? That's the question we have, right? So this, and again, I speak to about an average of about 100 MSPs a week, and I can tell you that this varies for everybody. However, there is a science to the method, right? So here's the average monthly agreement for MSPs in the United States. It's about $2,000 a month, right? So per year, right, the customer's worth, and you might do some upselling, you might sell a VoIP system here and there, a computer here and there. So that customer potentially could be about $34,000 a year. In 3 years, this customer is about $100,000 value to you, right? So, but how many leads do you need? Here's an example of 10 raw leads, 5 qualified leads, 3 sit down to schedule and have a meeting with you. And again, for us, it's a phone call, a Zoom call. Today we're pushing a lot of Zoom calls. And we send 2 proposals out. 2 proposals out. And out of that, we close a customer per month. Sometimes more, sometimes maybe less, who knows? But an average of 2 customers a month is what we're closing based on these numbers. And so what does it look like yearly, right? 120 raw leads, 60 qualified, 36 scheduled appointments that's set with you, 24 proposals, and 12 customers. What would your business look like right now? If you have more leads, God bless you, right? So, but what would your business look like if you had 12 new customers a year? Well, 12 times 94 is 1.128. It's over $1 million business. This is a fact, people. So, and again, we probably have some lists that we collected over the years. It's probably sitting in our ConnectWise or whatever PSA you use as a prospect. You quoted it but never closed, and that data is there. But you know what? Maybe they're looking for an IT company now, right? How do you remarket to that? How do you drip market to them, right? So what we do, one of the things we do in Binox is lead enrichment. You could actually take, by the way, if you have connected your PSA, your CRM to us, you could actually do this search inside of our system. But if not, just upload a list. You can take an Excel file, just put it through our system, and it'll filter through it. And again, if you have PSA or CRM connected, we support most of them. So if you do, you can just search in here and actually clean that record and enrich it. And I'll show you this in a second, by the way. And you can compare the information. And once you have it, you update it right back to where you got it from. So if you pick this from the PSA, it'll go back to ConnectWise or whatever you use and update that record, right? We also have a Google Chrome extension. So what's the first thing we do when we're trying to get a new customer? We get a lead, we look at it, we go to their website, right? But then again, here with our system, you can actually see right on their website with that Google Chrome extension, if that lead is actually coming from the person who you really should be targeting or talking to you, right? So it's another way to continue that. And again, right from here, you can send to PSA or CRM. We support most CRMs, Infusionsoft Keep, HubSpot, Zoom, Marketo, all of them. So, and again, we give you a lot of visibility about what's going on. Let me just show you a little bit. Please feel free to post questions on the chat. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. But I'm gonna just demonstrate real quick Binox MSP. So here's our app. And again, there's a lot of things Binox does. So if you do have a CRM, you know, there's a lot of things we do with CRMs, and we could also synchronize data between PSA and CRM and vice versa bidirectionally. So there's a lot of things that Binox does. This is my ConnectWise data. So you can, this is free, by the way. We don't charge extra for this. This just happens to be what we do. But you basically can see reporting in here, invoices, uncollected AR, and even a heat map. But let's talk about leads. Okay, so again, inside of our application, you can search by anything, and by anything I mean anything: location, zip code, radiuses, revenue, industries, SIC codes, you name it, right? But today I want to leave you with a unique identifier called a domain name, right? There are no companies that have the same domain name. There are no two companies that have the same domain name. So for that reason, domain name search is a great tool. So here's one. I'll just type anybody here. And when you search inside of our app for a domain or anything, you're going to get two types of leads, as I mentioned. One of them is machine verified represented by a robot, and human verified represented by a person. But when you look at this lead, if you look closely, we give you tons of information. We give you mobile numbers. We give you LinkedIn profiles. We give you emails for sure. We give you addresses, phone numbers, direct dials, revenues, companies. We give you everything. And when you take this lead, you can confidently say it's been scrubbed and clean. I'm going directly to market to this. So again, we have these options: send to CRM, send to PSA. You could also download the list. But when you send to CRM, for example, in my case, I'm an Infusionsoft partner, so I use Infusionsoft. I have automation in there, I have some campaigns in there. I can just directly go to either create an opportunity, which, by the way, will create the company, the contact, and the opportunity. You get a lead, you find it on Binox, you clean it here by looking at it, you send it directly as an opportunity, you can start calling on it. You can create a contact in a company, or the one that I prefer the most is the tight integration with Infusionsoft, which is called put on marketing campaign, right? So I can say, hey, this is my lead. I can, you know, Infusionsoft is heavy on tags, so we can do tags. I can put this as a farm list. I can put this as a whatever referral. You can put a note on it. And when you save this lead, it's directly ready for me to click on start marketing campaign. In my case, I have Infusionsoft, and my campaign is a 2-week campaign where emails, phone calls, and letters go out. And it's all automated. I don't touch it. Okay. So that's the tight integration we have with CRMs. And on the PSA side, same thing. You can send it directly to your PSA. You can do it as an opportunity, right? So it will create the company contact and the opportunity. And if you're using ConnectWise, by the way, you use ConnectWise Sell, or if you use auto tasking, you use QuoteWorks, or whatever your heart contents to use, that opportunity is there. So guess what? You call that person, you're like, oh, you were the person who wanted my VoIP? Yes. Okay. I just sent you the proposal on those 10 phones. Why? Because it's already an opportunity inside your PSA. So you can just pull it out your products and send that. It's crazy how this integrates. It's crazy how this integrates. So you send it here as an opportunity. It's gonna look all the stuff from my PSA. If I had company types, it's gonna bring the company types from my PSA. So in my case, this is a prospect, right? This is an insurance guy. This is a decision maker. I'm gonna put this for me. I'm gonna put this as an active prospect. I'm gonna put this on my territory. And boom, it's in my PSA. I can quote it. I can send it. You just call the customer and be like, hey, I got your quote, right? Guy landed on your VoIP page and wanted a proposal for 10 phones. Here you go. So that's the tight integrations we have with PSAs and CRMs, right? So the other thing that we do is our Google Chrome extension. So if you're, I'm going to show you the same website. So if you're on that website, right, you can just see it. You can just see everything by clicking on this Chrome extension. You see the data on that person that you want to target, human verify or machine verify. By the way, don't discard machine verify. They're great ones too, and they all come with emails. So I wouldn't discard that either. And lastly, a Google Chrome extension for LinkedIn. Now, this is a game changer for me because I do tons of canvassing on LinkedIn, and we get an average of 5 highly qualified leads per week on LinkedIn. And I can tell you that this is awesome because from here, I can just click on my plugin and actually have that person that's talking to me information and sent to the PSA, or in my case, put on deck for marketing right from LinkedIn. How crazy is that? That's crazy. So I'm going to pause a little bit. I just want to make sure that there are no questions, but I'm just going to show you a little bit about something we call lead enrichment. Like I mentioned before, lead enrichment is a process of which you can either start typing. If you do have connected products within our application, meaning you connect to your Infusionsoft or your ConnectWise, this information will auto-populate. But as you can see here, this is showing me that I had 2 Walters from Infusionsoft and anything related to Walter in ConnectWise. If I select these records and I click on enrich, it looks against our database of gold, and then it tells me if there's new data available. So this is one here. I'm going to click on it, and it's just going to tell me updated information was last Saturday, and it came from Infusionsoft. New information, it's now. You can just click update, and it tells you, by the way, what information is being updated. Hit update, and that information is pushed directly to that record in Infusionsoft. That, my friend, is crazy. I wish I had this when I was starting my MSP, by the way. This would have made big difference in our lives. You could also upload a list. So you can just drag and drop here and take a file, dump it in there, and it's going to check against our database. And at that point, literally, we're telling people, look, if you're joining a CRM or you're getting a new CRM and you're downloading your list from maybe ConnectWise or something and bringing it into it, download it, put it through Binox, clean it, make sure it's clean, fresh data, and just click a button and update it to your CRM. Add a tag to it, send it to a campaign, you name it. So I think that's about it for me. I mean, there are other things I wanted to quickly tell you about our product. We do have some things in the roadmap, but as it is, this tool is being used by hundreds of MSPs. They're loving it. By the way, I keep saying to people, look, if you're not getting it, guess who else is getting it? Your competitor. And if you're in the same territory, they have access to this data and you don't, that's an issue, right? So make sure that you at least take us up on the 14-day trial and see if this works for you, okay? We're working on some cool stuff. Data is the new goal. So we're working on intent. And intent data is basically who is looking for you, who in your territory that matches your criteria of customer is actually looking for you. And we're not talking SEO stuff. We're talking like super high-end data that is highly accurate. And you're going to see this coming up very soon in our app. And we're working on research on demand. You ever had a list that you wish you can clean up? And by the way, maybe there's no data for it, right? Our team of list scrubbers will take that information and clean it for you. You can submit it right inside of our app, right? Or maybe you had a machine verified lead that you wanted to clean even better. You can submit it to our team. We'll clean it up and send you an email when it's ready. So again, we do have a synchronization product that works with PSA and CRM to keep the data together. That product as a bundle is $3.99. Actually, you save $100 on that. But the product that I'm talking to you here is the lead building product. It's $2.99 a month. You get actually 1,500 credits. And what that means to you is 125, 150 leads of machine verified and 62 of human verified. And that's what you get for $2.99 in the use of our product. All the sent to CRM or PSA is included with that. And again, if you just want to synchronize your CRM and your PSA data bi-directionally, that's $1.99 when you buy it alone. Okay, so let's go to some Q&A.
Yeah, we have some questions. So they're asking about what other CRM are you integrated with?
Well, right now, and don't quote me on it because I was on vacation last week, but I know they pushed a couple of new ones. Right now, we integrate with Infusionsoft for sure, Keep, HubSpot, Soho, Marketo, I think is on the roadmap or almost done, and they're working on a couple of more. But those three for sure we're supporting right now.
Great. Also, they're asking why is the LinkedIn profile so important?
That's a great question. You know, LinkedIn for us, it's a great place to engage with prospects, not only from our postings and our social media interactions, but also from the perspective of there's a lot of highly qualified leads in there. And if you do it right, by the way, don't ever sell on LinkedIn. I'm sure you got those messages when they're trying to get you and it's like, okay, you know, you immediately disregard the message. Just try to connect, try to have a conversation just like you would. And I can guarantee you'll get some leads. In fact, I think, Stephanie, we're having our next webinar where we're gonna give away our LinkedIn playbook to all of the participants that join.
Yeah, that's correct. So we have one more. They are asking if you can show again the Chrome feature.
Sure. So basically our Chrome extension, if you are on someone's website and we have the data, obviously, if you click on our Chrome extension, you're going to get the data that that company has. So in this particular case, you see that we have 2 human verified and 18 machine verified leads. And so you can just take one and send it to your CRM or PSA. The same happens with the LinkedIn profiles. When you click on the Chrome extension, you'll see that information. Okay.
Great. I think that's all.
Awesome. Well, I want to take a second to thank everybody for joining us today. This webinar is being recorded. If you didn't make it, I highly suggest taking a look at it. And please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. This is my personal information right here. Again, my name is Walter Contreras, and thank you so much for joining us today.